Being a mother myself, I know that sometimes it's hard to get it together and keep it together. But you know what? When things go a little bit crazy, we always look for our mother to help us out.
Absolutely.
Right? Absolutely, we do.
Amen.
Amen. But there's a different kind of mother's help that goes stronger, and it goes throughout the community. And so what I mean by that, I have Rhonda Hamilton, and she's the executive director of MI Mother's Keeper. And I'm sure a lot of our listeners have heard about this organization in the past. But, one question that I have is, what does the MI stand for? Go ahead and let us know, Rhonda. Thank you for joining me today.
I thank you so much, Stevie, as well, and I appreciate that question.
Sure.
I just want to stop one moment and thank the Entercom family and you for having us here this morning. It's such an honor, and I purposely named the organization M.I. Mother's Keeper as opposed to My Mother's Keeper because we wanted to start the conversation. My experience has been that with mental health, it's not the first topic of conversation that most folks want to have, but it's the most important, I feel. And MI is a way for us to shed light on our empowerment movement. MI typically in our world stands for mental illness. However, many of our youths and citizens in the city are having trouble and challenges reaching out for help because of the stigmas that are associated with having a mental illness. So we like to call ourselves mental intelligence advocates because the M and I for us stands for mental intelligence because you've got to be pretty intelligent to know that you need help, to know to reach out, to know that you've got to take this medicine in order to be able to have a better quality of living. So I thank you for asking that question.
Okay, we're done. Preach. Oh, and we're off and running. Oh, my goodness. But you know what? You're right. It does take a bit of intelligence to know that you are in danger and that you need some support and that you need help. And the Mother's Keeper part really gives me a visual of embracement.
Absolutely.
That we got you.
Absolutely.
And we'll be with you and we'll take you through the steps that we need to take you.
That's exactly
and, to get you where you need to be.
That's exactly right.
And so I'm glad my visual was, I'm on point here today.
Yes, you are. I was a little girl of 10 years old growing up in this beautiful city when my mom was diagnosed with schizophrenia and navigating the health system for the mental health industry. And for me, my vision, everything that we're doing with My Mother's Keeper has to do with me being that little girl growing up and watching her navigate the systems and the resources that she had available, watching companies like ours help her to improve her quality of living. And so this is our ability to give back because we know that there's so many in the community that can use the resources and the help. And you're exactly dead on. My Mother's Keeper. How can you deny a mother?
Right, exactly. And so when we're talking about mental illness in the D.C. area, have we seen the numbers increase or have we seen the voices increase?
Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Twofold. And I don't know that the voices are loud enough. And that's why My Mother's Keeper is embarking on all of the initiatives that we are around the city, because we just feel like this is a conversation we should have on a daily basis as opposed to waiting for a tragedy or some type of an occurrence to happen to shed light on it. We're trying to be more preventative in our efforts for mental health. And I attended a conference that DBH had just a few months back here in the city, and it was so enlightening to hear the professionals from the Philadelphia system speak on how much progress they've had when we take the proactive approach and the preventative measures for also mental illness, meaning that if we're out in the community talking daily and we're engaging our citizens on a daily basis, we're able to recognize when some of our citizens may be more in crisis than others and find solutions or opportunities to be able to get them in the right directions. So I would say that we have much work to do, but obviously from 1979, being that little girl, I've seen a lot of growth and a lot of progress in my wonderful city here. Right.
Absolutely. And so also, I want to know, mental illness, it's vast.
Absolutely.
It's like a rainbow. You can find all kinds of levels of mental illness. And so with MI Mother's Keeper, what do you guys focus on the most, or do you work in trends? Do you see that, like you were saying, your mother was, schizophrenic, and so what other kinds of illnesses do you deal with?
I love that question, Stevie. Actually, what we look at stress as a gateway for being able to kind of, those of us that may have daily challenges and struggles with the mental health, but not necessarily have a mental illness. And we find that if we're able to put preventative language and actions in the air for our community ahead of time, then maybe the mental health challenge that may be temporary in nature, may be brought on by trauma or some other event, maybe we can catch it before it actually has to evolve into a mental illness. So what My Mother's Keeper does is we are more from the advocate standpoint and the resource standpoint.
Okay.
What we want to do, we want to help our citizens that are living with the challenges daily and having to survive. We also want to support our core service agencies as they continue to screen our folks and make sure that those that need more extensive mental challenges are able to receive them. But to answer your question, we look at everything from schizophrenia to PTSD to depression to anxiety, all of the telltale conditions that we're running into as we're out in the community engaging our citizens. And again, we look at stress as being the gateway. So My Mother's Keeper is constantly wanting to keep the conversation daily for our folks who are not necessarily diagnosable. It's important that mental health is something that we all, from one time or another, find ourselves, challenged by when we are going through tough situations.
And being an advocate in this area, what kinds of stresses do you see? And what are those indicators? Because a person might be saying, oh, I'm just going through it right now.
Absolutely.
You know
I love
what I mean?
that. Absolutely. And we're just trying to call attention to that because a lot of times, going back to the mothers of the neighborhood, not that our fathers and our men aren't doing their part, but the mothers are typically who you identify with when you think of words like nurture and holding the community together and things of that nature. So a lot of times we're speaking to our nurturers and saying, hey, we've got to keep you healthy so that you can help us keep the community healthy. And a lot of times it is just as simple as keeping an eye on our blood pressure, making sure that the stresses that we are managing are not above norm. But it's not abnormal to feel that, oh, this is just another day, this is what I've got. We're just keeping it in front of you so that if for some reason you're experiencing additional symptoms, that you'll feel comfortable enough to reach out and talk to someone about it. We want mental health to be so secondary in nature that there's no problem for folks of all walks to just reach out and have the conversation so that we help each other heal.
Right. Now, do you do workshops in the community? Do you have flyers in libraries, churches?
All of the above. Absolutely. As you can imagine, philanthropic and advocacy work is long and hard work, but I love it, especially here in the wonderful city that I've been raised and gone and educated in. But I would say to you that, yes, we have many initiatives out there. As a matter of fact, on February the 25th, we're very excited because we're kicking off one of 8 gun violence town hall discussions in the city. We're starting in Ward 8 over at the Arc on February the 25th, which is a Sunday. And I can understand that when many of our listeners hear the words gun violence, they start to get a little concerned about the politics of it all, but it's not. It's about saving lives. What we're concerned about is as we heal as a nation in between the various traumatic gun shootings and other violent acts that we're dealing with as a community, we're concerned that we're not getting the proper healing before the next set of circumstances present themselves. And we're concerned that we're not getting enough information into the community as it relates to preventative measures, as it relates to intervention methods. And what I mean by that, again, in mental illness with many of our citizens, sometimes they're going through crisis in their everyday living. We've got to know what those look like, how to recognize that, and how we can come together as a community to help. So I put together the town hall and invited all of our local elected officials and those that are running for office in this wonderful election year to give our citizens firsthand the opportunity to be able to ask the questions that can help them to understand what they can do to be better about recognizing violent acts or gun violence in the community, what we can do to be better about preventing these. And I've also reached out to the folks at NRA and Smith & Wesson to say, hey, we're not challenging the fact that this is not about whether or not folks have a right to bear arms. We're just losing human lives, and we're asking for your involvement to help us create methods in the community so that we can give the resources when these traumatic events are happening, and they are.
And that's a hard thing to kind of wrap our heads around, this gun violence. And I don't know the gun laws in D.C., but I don't know that you're allowed to own a weapon, or if you are, under what circumstances. But and that's what a lot of people who don't live in the city don't understand. They go, well, you're not supposed to have these weapons anyway, but they're here.
Yeah.
You can't put your head underneath a rock
Exactly.
or, and just hide and act like it's not here. So to whom are you really going to be speaking when you're talking about gun violence?
We're speaking to everyone as a whole, everyone that has we want the accountability in place. My Mother's Keepers comes from a standpoint that every time we remove the yellow tape, we're always concerned about the trauma left behind. We're always concerned about the engagement of the community. How are we helping folks to cope and understand that we are there with them, even though we're removing the tape? The scars are still there. They're still trying to figure it out, and they still have to go about their daily lives. And so all I'm saying is that I'd like to change the conversation just a tad bit, because obviously the politicians are in place to do what they're supposed to do, and we have avenues for that. But from My Mother's Keeper standpoint, everything that we're looking at is from how can we improve upon people's understanding how important proper mental health care can be for a society. And I think at the core of all of the issues that we're dealing with as a society, that mental health component is very key.
It is. And that's a big, huge one right there. I mean, you could have a whole segment just on gun violence and being a smart person. I don't know, because people handle life differently.
Absolutely.
And some people have been taught since they were, I don't even know, that if you have a weapon in the home, then go ahead and use it, because you got to protect yours.
Absolutely.
So they come with that mentality, and that's not necessarily a mental illness.
No, it's not.
But what is left after the math, afterwards can spiral somebody down.
Stevie, what we are often pondering over in My Mother's Keeper every time we read the headlines is in those last few moments when that citizen is struggling with or deciding that they're going forward with this act, is there an opportunity for some sort of reasoning? Is there an opportunity for some sort of breakthrough? We don't know. We're reading the headlines the day after, and we're usually finding out that possibly there was something missed, possibly there was something that represented itself that we could have maybe looked into further. We just don't know. And so again, if we come from the standpoint with mental health as we do with the other illnesses and health challenges, preventative, let's catch it before it gets to stage 4. Let's look at the whole, we talk about connecting all the aspects of behavioral health so that the citizen can have a whole and life and a quality of living. And so I'm just saying that it's important that we open the dialogue in these communities and try to catch these tragedies before they happen. And I'm calling on the experts to come out and give us some information. We don't pretend to know. We just want to create a platform so the citizens can start to feel comfortable that they can depend on everybody, because accountability is the key in our opinion.
There you go. See that big A word, accountability. I'm speaking today with Rhonda Hamilton, who is the executive director of My Mother's Keeper, and we're talking about advocacy of those individuals who have some mental difficulties, and Mother's Keeper being a great resource. And speaking of resources, so you're having this big kickoff February 25th and through a series starting in Ward 8. So besides gun violence, what else will you be addressing, or what else can people look forward to to experiencing with you?
I love that. I love that question. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that My BMF Solutions is actually the catalyst that came forward and asked My Mother's Keeper to get involved. So I thank My BMF Solutions. She's a local contractor in the community in the hair industry, helping with beauty management and retirement planning and things of that nature. Miss Rogers is her name. And she came to me and said, Miss Hamilton, I really want to stir the community up. I really want to do an out of the ordinary expo. And so we thought it'd be a great opportunity to bring the town hall together, because this is where the people are. The local officials, just being an election year, there's so much going on in our wonderful city. We thought, why not start in Ward 8, get a big send-off, so people can expect from the hair care side of things, everything that from makeup classes to hair care competitions, poetry competitions, the whole beauty of the community, just everything everything to amplify our beautiful women in the community. And My Mother's Keeper is saying, hey, if you're going to take the day to come out and be beauty and learn about beauty, why don't we celebrate beauty? It is Black History Month. Let's talk about these things in the community that matter. Let's bring everybody together. Let's make it memorable enough so that we want to do this again, and so that we hold our officials accountable for knowing that when we create the platform, we're expecting them to come out and give us some good information.
Right.
So we're expecting February 25th to be an epic situation, because we've got, as I mentioned, many of our elected city officials that we've invited to come out, but we've got Mr. James Butler, who's actually running for mayor, and I understand there are only 2 mayoral candidates. So we're excited because he's bringing his platform and he wants to talk and help them understand. And so any opportunity that we can create for the community to be educated about mental health awareness, gun violence preventative measures, and also to be able to be celebrated, we're really excited about that. So I'm hoping all your listeners will come down to the Arc on the 25th of February. It starts at 1 p.m. We'll be over there all day until 7 p.m. We've got EU band performing. We've got Opium Live band performing. We're going to be honoring Dudley, the hair care guru and giant for many years. We're going to be honoring him, which I understand that's never been done.
No, so it's like, wait.
We've got celebrity stylists like Kim Lee and motivational speakers. So we're just really, and then we also have the red carpet photo shoot. Now, who doesn't want to have their photo taken on the red carpet?
A little bit of step and repeat.
And in My Mother's Keeper, we're calling out all divas, and our divas are deeply incensed by violent acts. That's who our divas are.
Okay.
And so we're calling them out to the red carpet, and that's what all of our marketing and advertising has been about. So we just want the community to come out, celebrate, get some information, hold our city officials accountable, and most importantly, bring your voice. This is your platform.
Okay.
We're just creating it.
So with this expo, so they're going to be able to go and to hear the community leaders speak and to see booths and get involved and just be a part of the community. Am I correct?
Absolutely. And I just heard from Council Member White's office in Ward A, Trayon White. They're eager to help us get this promoted, and they were asking me just this morning if there were vendor tables and things of that nature to be able to mix up with the community. And I want you guys to understand we've got over 100 a space for 100 vendor tables. And I'm not clear as how many spaces are left, but there's still some left. And www, if you'll mind me,
please,
beautyexpo2018.com has all of the information, and you can email us and get some more. And then we've got www.mimotherskeeper.com for all the wonderful information for what we're doing in the community as well. And then my phone number is 240-274-9436. We don't want there to be any reason why you can't make it out on the 25th to join us.
We're going to be giving our listeners that information once again.
I appreciate that.
But there is another number that I think is just a little bit more important than the expo number, and that's where can individuals who need your guidance, who need your help, how can they get in touch with you? What number do you have for them?
I love that. We have an advocacy line, as well as I use my direct line because I want to be that lifeline for my folks. So we have an advocacy line, which is the 1-844-36-HELP, HELP 2. That line will allow you, if you're out and about and you're going through something and you're having challenges with getting heard and you just need to really voice it, we want you to just call us, tell us about it, so that we can help you bring action or give a voice to what it is that you're going through. So our advocate line is 1-844-36-HELP 2. To reach me directly, 240-274-9436. And I tend to take all my calls. I'm Ms. Hamilton. This is personal for me, and I would love to be able to engage your listeners so that we start a movement in this city of divas and mental health and mentally aware citizens.
Yes, absolutely. And so what kind of partnership do you have with the Metropolitan Police Department? Because, sometimes people don't feel like they don't really think about you right away. And are they able to channel people to you so it's not a jail time or, hey, here's a great resource, meaning Am I Mother's Keeper? do you have that kind of a great relationship with them? Or,
I love that question. You know, one of the things that we did when we came out, we're a very young agency, although this is a lifetime work for us. One of the things that I did when we first came out is we started to go out into the community to mix it up so that we can try to engage folks like the police department and some of the communities. We did the Deanwood Days and the Hillcrest communities because we wanted to find out from ward to ward the types of challenges and exposures they were having. One of the wonderful things that we've gotten is an invitation to work with the police department as they start to train their officers and help folks to understand the mentally challenges that our citizens may be having that may not necessarily be all criminal. And so we are working at In My Mother's Keeper to build that core relationship, not just with the police department, but also with our other mental health professions that do such a wonderful job. There are places like Amazing Love Help over in Northeast D.C., there's Hillcrest over in Southeast. And so we want to make sure that as we're encountering the citizen that's trying to live every day with the mental challenge, that if they are in need of additional help, that we have those relationships in place, not just with the police department, but some of our other core agencies to make sure that we're giving our citizen all that they need to be able to have a great journey of healing.
How do you reach out to families who do not have an established address, if you will? Because I know that in our area, it's very prominent to have individuals who do not have homes, who are on the street, who might be suffering with some mental challenges. How do you reach out to them?
Absolutely. I love that. We partner. We try to partner up as much as we can with agencies. I just met a gentleman on just past Friday, and that's from being out in the community and going to the different events and making myself available so that we can attract folks from all walks, because that's a wonderful question, and that's one of the reasons why we're out here. I personally manage a property of rent where the program, I was happy to be involved with Miriam's Kitchen because their structure was to help get the homeless folks back into a regular routine and into a home. So we are certainly living what we preach.
Right.
And having said that, what we're trying to do is partner up with more agencies. There's an agency from within that are helping to advocate and counsel youth in the city who might not ordinarily be typical mentees for the typical mentoring programs. And traditionally, they're dealing with a lot of the youth that are at risk, that are homeless, that are LGBTQ related and things of that nature. And so I am elated every time I can partner up with agencies like that so that we can bring more attention and get more resources. That's why we're out here. We need resources because mental health is affecting folks in all walks of life, and it's not cheap.
No.
It's not cheap at all.
What do you mean by that?
Because I have families, some may be getting services, some may not, and at the core of everything, it just boils down to resources. And resources cost money, and we've got to get the folks to make sure that they're signing the right pieces of paper to get us what we need.
Yes. Okay. Yes, that does make sense. Like you said, I guess so. It comes down to costing a lot.
It does, and I want to just add on, one of our core partners is the YJ4 Cancer Ministries, for example. They've agreed to bring the Mama Van out.
Yes, because I was going to ask you about the Mama Van.
Absolutely, the Mama Van. And please, please, please take advantage of this community. And there is pre-registration required, and we have all of the language on our website posted so that they can get that information. But we partner with agencies that are dealing with mental health and other aspects of what their advocacy is bringing them. And for example, as you can imagine, folks that are waiting on cancer diagnosis or that are dealing with cancer diagnoses or just living with cancer in general, that you can imagine what that might do from time to time to folks' mental capacities. And so we're making sure that we're trying to partner with agencies where we realize the overlapping is occurring so that we can try to attract the folks that are maybe having housing issues or maybe not getting the proper care or just don't want to talk to anybody because no one took the time to show them that they care.
Does In My Mother's Keeper work with the teen set?
We actually do. We actually do.
Because that's where we see a lot of it.
Absolutely.
Because they don't know what to do with themselves. They don't know that they're struggling so much, or maybe they do. And that stigma that you were talking about, I got this. I'm nothing's wrong with me. But then yet they close that door and they're in a pit.
Thank you, Stevie. One of the things we're finding with our youth, absolutely, as we're out in the community and engaging, we're encouraging them to get involved with our movement, but more because we want them to take it over. I remember being that little girl, being that youth in the city that had labels and was tagged because we were of a family of mental health, and it does bother you. And so for me, I'm constantly reaching out to make sure that our youths understand that it's about empowerment. It's about understanding that you are okay just as you are, and that with the proper help and services, you're going to be even greater or even better than who you are. These are our future leaders, and it's important that our children that are trapped in families of mental health understand that you can do and be whoever you want to be. I ran a real estate company for many years. My mom had a stroke, and that's what caused me to come out and do the advocacy work, because it's important for our babies to understand that there is a way out, and they do deserve that. We have a youth empowerment movement. MI is me. I don't like that word illness, so MI being mental intelligence. One of the things that we've done is we've linked up with the local band here, Opium, who helps me with all of my outreach. I love those fellas. I'm going to get them in one of these boys and girls clubs and get some kids playing instruments soon. But the reality is that they've helped me put a track to our MI is Me, and it's just an empowerment song, and it's on our website, and it basically says, from the children's standpoint, MI is me, mentally intelligent and proud as can be. Schizophrenia, PTSD, depression, anxiety, is that all you see? Look closer, because MI is me. I'm much more than my illness. Take the time to get to know me. I'm great, and I'm going to be even greater.
Right.
With your help.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We definitely are.
So how do your volunteers work within your organization? Because I'm pretty sure it takes a lot to get this kind of work done.
And we love our volunteers. We love our volunteers. I've got quite a few on my team now, and they're in the background probably waiting to hear this interview now because they're so excited for the movement and all that we're doing. And my Mother's Keepers in the process of rolling out a series of programs, healthy living programs. We've adopted SAMHSA's overall wellness initiative, meaning that it takes more than just treating the mental illness. We've got to make sure that they're financially sound, that they're emotionally fine, that they're spiritually sound. So it takes a whole coalition of services to make sure that the independent citizens are okay. And so we've got a series of support groups that we're going to launch. We've got our Moving Men, which is basically just giving our men in the community opportunity, regardless of what their mental illness is or what their challenge is, or maybe they're caregivers and just need an opportunity to come and talk. So we have a series of outreaches that we're getting ready to launch. We have a youth initiative. It's cool to be me, meaning that you don't have to be anybody else other than yourself. And so that's what we're really focusing on, is helping our youths feel comfortable in their skin, having a place that they can come to, and being that voice for them when they're finding themselves challenged. And we know that that's a tall bill, but this is a personal mission for us, so we're here.
Yay! Let's talk about that expo one more time, with our listeners can expect to experience your kickoff date. And then, of course, we'll give the website again. Actually, I don't think we did. We'll give the website so people can find out a little bit more and where they can find it in the city if they can't be there for the kickoff. So go ahead.
Well, I appreciate that. Well, again, on February the 25th, on a Sunday, down at the Arc at 1901 Mississippi Avenue in Southeast, we are having a kickoff expo. It's the Business Art and Beauty Expo 2018, and we plan to do it annually. And what the citizens can expect is that when they come in is an explosion of hair care, fun, and beauty, and competitions, and how-to, and a wonderful core of community vendors that are selling everything from books to makeup to their services. They're able to come in and greet personally our local officials. They're able to share their concerns in the community as it relates to crime and violence, and to anyone who's lost a loved one who's still dealing with that. We especially extend a special invitation to you because we want these events to be more norm than not. And so we're asking the community to come out and hold us accountable to that. We're asking them to come out and partake of the wonderful food vendors. We're asking them to come out and take their photo on the red carpet. We've got a mental health health workshop where they're able to stop in and get their blood pressure checked, get a massage by Healing Hands. We've got some mental health testimonials from our wonderful women in the community. Oh, my goodness. We've got so much going on the 25th. I have not done it justice. And I mentioned that Sugar Bear and EU is going to be there. So can you imagine trying to promote something of this magnitude?
Oh, my goodness.
This is our first of 8 gun violence town halls, and we are hosting the gun violence town hall inside of the expo. And that's an added feature for our community. Rather than having them be separate and having to come out to 2 different events, we put it all together so there'd be no reason for them not to come out, be celebrated, get their points across, and then grab a bite to eat and smile about it on the way out.
Oh, my goodness. So if you want to go to mimotherskeeper.com, you can learn a lot more about what's going on with MI Mother's Keeper. And also, what is that one, that 1-844-36-HELP2 if you need some help, some advocacy, and also the number 240-274-9436. Ms. Hamilton will be receiving your call, and we'll be more than happy to do so. It has been an absolute pleasure to speak with you. Is there anything else that I could share with our listeners before we wrap up?
Stevie, I swear you are great. You are reading my mind. The one thing I would just ask the listeners to do, if they would please support us, whether they can make it out or not, support another diva in your community that can make it out. Go to our website and sign the gun violence petition, which we're directing to Eleanor Holmes Norton's office to say, hey, we've got folks that have these kinds of concerns in the community, and we're showing you that throughout petition here. So, folks, if you could please support our movement and our initiatives in the community, I'd love to hear from you. More importantly, please sign the petition and come out on the 25th, or finance someone else to come out on the 25th.
There you go. As I always say to our listeners before wrapping up, staying in touch to keep you in touch here on Entercom Radio DC.